Hey guys, welcome to the Best Words Podcast. This is going to be the E3 episode. Sorry that it took so long, but here it is, finally. It's all still good to go. Everything's still pretty relevant as far as the industry goes. I mean, we probably won't see a whole bunch of new announcements until Gamescom, I think, is the next one. Either way, here you go. Have fun. All right, we're going.
Going where?
We're recording.
Going to E3?
I wish. I mean, not this year. It's already over.
I don't really care to go to E3.
I'd prefer to go to PAX personally. I think PAX would be
Comic-Con.
more exciting. I think more
New York Comic Con,
more reveals happen at PAX than they do at E3 now.
considering the leak.
Yeah, that's definitely more surprise. But welcome, guys. This is our E3 podcast. Standard of pretty much anybody covering games or pop culture in general does one of these. So
It's the big thing.
Yeah.
We did our predictions. Now we can just see how they stacked up with everything that actually happened.
yeah, starting off with the biggest announcement, Mother 3, right, Brian?
You know,
Right?
I
That
can
happened.
dream. I
Yeah.
knew that Nintendo wasn't going to do anything about it, but I still really want it to happen.
You were really pushing for it.
I really want it to happen. It's like they keep on joking about it every year, and they just released it on eShop in Japan, like back in March, so it would make sense if they release it sometime soon.
But they wouldn't have a whole press conference on
No.
it.
Be a little footnote at the end of it.
I would have been okay with even a footnote, just something being like, oh, we didn't forget that you people still want this.
Hey, they released Mario RPG in EU, but not here.
They just keep poking fun at the Earthbound fans that want it, is what upsets me.
Yeah. But, standard. You guys have listened to us before. Good, bad, in between for all you new people. So, best things about the conference overall
Trying to think of what the highlight for E3 would have been for me.
for you?
If we're going games, I'm definitely going to say, I know you don't care, but
Zelda.
Zelda
Zelda
is...
by far was the most impressive gameplay showing that they had.
He was referring to me to not care, by the way, guys. Just
And that's fine.
I know you can't see.
But I know it's weird to say to go back to the roots of actually old school Zelda where you get to explore and you get to go into areas where you're not necessarily supposed to go. And then you need better armor or equipment or stuff.
They
I respect that about Zelda. It's more of I never really grew up playing Zelda. I really like the Wind Waker personally, but
So do I.
Ocarina of Time,
hate
I
Wind Waker.
barely played Majora's Mask. I barely played a lot of the stuff I missed out on, and it just never really did it for me. And this new format, this open world format that I know people have been waiting for, I've never been an open world game person in that sense. Like Elder Scrolls never really interested me or anything like that. I mean, we talked about this. I like Infamous and Infamous 2 as far as open world games go, and similarly games in that vein. But I don't know. I mean, if they keep the gimmicky crap out of it, I think it has the potential to be a great game. I don't want to see it fall like we mentioned in the E3 predictions, like Star Fox,
Yeah.
where everyone was waiting for it, and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna force this system into the game."
Yeah. But they
And-
have also already said that there aren't any, they don't have any weird gimmicks like that. You can play the entire game from start to finish with just a Pro Controller.
which is good. I think that's definitely a good step in the right direction. And a lot of people, you in particular, Brian, use this is the natural progression of Zelda. It's weird that the natural progression is reverting back to the original Zelda, right? Because
Right.
they want, as much as you don't like my opinion sharing with Ego Raptor
Yeah.
about the whole, it's more of a streamlined thing with the games that came out after the original Zelda, but I mean, it really is true. They streamlined the process.
yeah,
and
it's
made
entirely true that all of the best Zelda games have been freeform. Wind Waker, A Link to the Past, Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask are all freeform. You can pretty much tackle them however you want.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I watched the gameplay. I can see the appeal.
If I had one criticism for the game, it would be Link's climbing animation, because Jesus, that looks stupid.
Have you seen Snakes in Phantom Pain?
Yes.
That's worse.
It's not, no. The Link one needs to go. He has the exact same climbing animation for every single
type of terrain.
that he's climbing on.
From what you saw from the combat, do you think that it's going to be in depth enough? I mean, it's not all about combat, right? It's more about exploration and finding,
I think
whatever's
it'll be
hidden
fine.
there.
I don't like Zelda's never really needed deep combat.
I know, but it's definitely something that I feel personally, especially in the 3D ones, it's gotten a little stale, especially because they've relied so heavily on motion controls
Yeah.
as combat, right? So we haven't had a game in a while where it didn't revolve around like waving your hand back and forth.
I think it'll probably be similar to Twilight Princess. If you played Twilight Princess for GameCube, the combat was just fine. It felt like Wind Waker.
It looked very similar, but like as far as like in depth from what little I've seen, from like being able to throw
Mhm.
your items and hit somebody, to even like having a magnet, being able to pick up that axe that you threw and just wave it at somebody.
Uh-huh.
I think there's going to be enough variety there.
Cool. Yeah. Do you think they're gonna ditch the standard bosses for?
No,
Well, not standard bosses. I mean the standard boss mechanic that's been in Zelda since.
like each boss
You
has a
mean the
gimmick.
mechanic of you get an item in a dungeon and then you use that item on the dungeon boss?
Well, and not so much that, but also the very apparent, hey, this is the boss's weakness, like this big glowy spot on my body.
I'm honestly okay with that.
It'll
Really?
it'll
Yeah.
probably be a lot more like A Link Between Worlds, where you have access to all of the items from the start and you get to choose what items you have, so you don't necessarily need a specific item to beat a specific boss, but it makes it easier if you have it.
Versus making it mandatory to use this item to complete the fight, right?
Right.
Like, oh, I got this bow and arrow. If I don't use it during this boss fight, that there's no way to progress.
Right.
So,
I'm sure there will be exceptions to that, but if the game's as big as they keep talking about, because they said that it was only 1% of the game that they were showing at E3, and that was a large portion of gameplay.
And it looked different every time. But I watched most of the gameplays, and it always looked like somebody was doing something different each time.
And Shields lighting looks like fun.
And the little glider thing, that's gonna be so awesome.
Yes.
I definitely think overall, it definitely, again, step in the right direction is actually going to be moving back towards the roots. I think this one will capture me more than like the super serious, in-depth Skyrim, because that's really what turned me off about like a lot of those games, like Dragon Age. It's really in-depth in their like leveling up and RPG elements, which is fun for some people. Not like I don't really enjoy the super in-depth, like detailed, like each stat goes to a specific. Like it's never.
Oh, you don't like a traditional RPG?
Yeah, like
style?
how Mass Effect 2 and 3 did their leveling up, where it was
I never
you had
played
some
3,
control, but
two
you had some control, but it was very like
streamlined.
yeah.
and a
I
lot
prefer
easier.
that, and
And I could understand that
Yeah.
compared to the we'll
Well, I
talk
mean,
about
I
that
don't
later,
think that
but
this is going to be massively in depth. It looks like it's just more RPG.
no, and that's what I'm
elements.
saying. Like that definitely appeals to me more
Yeah.
than like Skyrim ever did, personally.
It looks more like it's RPG-ish in the same vein that Paper Mario is RPG-ish, in that it's not really.
I need to play Pokemon.
Which has elements of it.
Yeah.
So both of y'all think Zelda probably one of the biggest.
Zelda was probably the
Yes.
best gameplay showing that they had at E3 this year.
It's the one thing I'm excited about.
Not saying that there weren't other good games. Like most of the games that Microsoft showed, I was pretty excited for just because they were polished.
So what is your biggest?
It's still hard to say, because like I think Zelda would probably be the biggest game as far as what they showed. I'm really excited for Death Stranding, but I want to see more about it before I get super excited about it.
Can we talk about that for a minute?
Can we talk about Norman Reedus and his crying baby?
John, were you laughing like I was like laughing my ass off when he was holding that baby crying? Like I just
It definitely made me think of, and I swear if you haven't seen Walking Dead at this point, season 2 or whatever, it definitely harkened back to
yeah,
when he was
that's-
crying in the show because his brother Merle died. Like I definitely like when I saw it, I was like, man, it's like the same face that
Have
was
you
really
seen
busted
the-
looking. And
Have you seen the memes yet?
yeah, the things.
Yeah,
are
when they
like-
have
One
him
of
holding
them has him
different
holding
things.
Merle.
Okay, well, see, and that's so
But
the-
like they don't really give a whole lot away in the trailer at all, which is typical of
which is
Kojima.
refreshing.
But it looks
Yeah.
from what they've pieced together, or from what the internet has pieced together, and what I've seen from it, it looks like it's probably going to be sci-fi
Yeah, there was some
and
sci-fi
it's going to have
elements.
some sort of time travel element to it.
Mm,
If you like, just going off of the quote that they show at the beginning of it, where it's talking specifically about time, it's going to have something to do with time.
maybe. I mean, we can speculate all day about it,
But
I
it's
think
definitely sci-fi and futuristic.
yeah,
Like just
for
looking
sure.
at the
The
handcuffs,
and yeah, and the imagery they use,
the
like
weird
the
umbilical
yeah,
cord.
yeah, definitely. I think, but I mean, overall, that what we saw looked
Why does
good.
Kojima hate whales?
He
And
really
crabs.
does.
Mainly whales. I mean, he had a flaming whale in Metal Gear.
Forgot about that.
He doesn't like aquatic
Had the
life.
whole Moby Dick imagery going for Phantom Pain.
He doesn't like aquatic life, man. What can I say?
Apparently. I mean, those
Um,
spider crabs are terrifying.
I mean, the big three that the big ones that stick out, especially since we're talking about Kojima, God of War 3, Horizon Zero Dawn,
you mean
and
Data War?
God of War, yeah. God of Last
God of
of
War.
Us,
God of War Esper Quest.
yeah, and it's gonna be a big game. I mean, it's probably one of their biggest announcements because it's been
Sam
what
doesn't.
6-ish
Yeah.
years since the last.
The last
God
one
of
came
War.
out, yeah, about 6, 7 years ago.
Yeah,
Well,
So-
that's if you don't count
like
Retribution or whatever
yeah,
it was.
I stuck
which I
with the
really
main
don't.
three. I stuck with the main three personally.
But
So, are you excited about God of War
Data War.
or Horizons more?
Personally, Horizon.
I think Horizon
I've
looks
been
really good.
I've been like since they debuted the little gameplay they had of Horizon Zero Dawn,
Last
and they
year.
added Zero Dawn as the tagline from last year. Like I was very on board like from the get go, and the more I've seen, yes, it feels similar because a lot of people, you especially Brian, say that it feels similar to their big three that they announced.
Yes.
Open world mostly
Like all of,
with
I don't see a lot of variation between the games personally. I
Yeah.
think they all look the same.
fair enough.
But,
I mean,
like,
I can agree with that.
They all have the third person over the shoulder camera. They have open world. It's all weird forestation.
Yeah.
And personally, I don't think that the biker character for Days Gone looks super interesting.
No. But Horizon is definitely up there in terms of Sony as something I'm excited about. I mean, it has a
For me personally, the most exciting exclusives that Sony had were Death Stranding and what was the other one? Spider-Man.
yeah. Too bad we didn't get to see much of that
I'd like to see more of Spider-Man, especially since Insomniac's working on it.
for sure. But yeah, Horizon Zero Dawn. I mean, I liked a lot of the stuff they were doing with it. I feel like it drew a lot of inspiration from like the remade Tomb Raider. You know, that came out a couple years ago.
I could
Where
see
there's
that.
some hunting elements, there's some survival elements.
But it's also
spread
being made
throughout.
by the team, like, it's being made by Guerrilla, which, correct me if I'm wrong, is the same team that made Killzone, and Killzone was never all that impressive.
Yeah, well, the first one.
So I don't really have a whole lot of faith in the company to deliver a solid title.
I'm definitely more interested in Horizon since seeing it, but what concerns me, particularly in the demo that they showed,
It
is
looked
that
really scripted.
no, that's fine. I'm fine with scripted. Like you're giving me just gameplay, just give me that. I don't really care about people saying whatever. But like the map, when they went to the map,
Mhm.
and then she's like, "Oh, I need to get over there," and then it was literally like just 2 seconds away.
Mhm.
It doesn't feel like a big enough world. Maybe not. It doesn't have to be super big, right?
Gotcha.
Not like Zelda, but it feels like it's too small.
I mean,
Is my only concern.
it's true. It might have been just for the sake of presentation, right? Instead
Sure.
of having her trek all the way across like the landscape to get to the
To the one place.
creature.
Yeah,
They
As
would have
much
taken
taken
flack
longer.
as it's getting, for me personally, one of the other big ones is still Ghost Recon. I'm really excited for Ghost Recon because open world tactical shooter sounds like fun to me. And the fact that it's co-op from start to finish also sounds exciting.
I mean, it's. I think it'll be okay.
Having something like that that's not a persistent world where anybody can just drop in and out as far as like it being more MMO stylish. I definitely agree. I would like to see more games where it's like up to 4 players in a set, up to 4 players, no more than 4.
Just Cause 3.
And I also like that
Exactly. Just anything like that.
I also like that the developers have said that they're developing it with adult gamers in mind, like people that don't have hours upon hours to sit down and play a game, so that you can drop in and drop out whenever you need to without really affecting the actual time that you're spending into it. Like, you don't have to spend a whole lot of time to enjoy your time, is what I'm trying to say.
Like Overwatch.
Yeah.
You drop in and out. It's pretty seamless.
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
As you meant, like,
that it's
as
very
opposed,
similar.
they said opposed to. Sorry, for the flack it's getting, and for for the
The biggest criticism that I keep hearing that I can completely agree with is that it doesn't look like the guns have a whole lot of weight to them, and I'm hoping that that'll be fixed sometime between now and March when it comes out.
It's still really early in development.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot they can add to it.
Potential is there.
And even though so I know I said I prefer Horizons to God of War 4. I'm still mildly interested in it. I mean, I like God of War 1 through 3 personally. I'm not so concerned with the shift in camera. I am concerned with more games doing the
My problem with God of War isn't the shifting camera; it's the fact that with the shifting camera, it seems to be a shift in gameplay.
yeah,
The game looked a lot slower.
It isn't as fast paced as it was
And
in
that
the previous games where you
bothers
had
me.
that far back camera.
Yeah, exactly.
Open camera. And again, I get Last of Us was a really good game, and I get when something is successful, people want to emulate it and try to put it. It goes back to the whole when we talked about Nintendo, right? They take a game and they say, how can we insert this object, gimmick, whatever into it
Right.
and conform it to it? And not saying that Kratos couldn't have a son, and not saying that Kratos couldn't be this father figure, but it definitely feels like, hey, how can we make this more like The Last of Us, where we have this sidekick person with us?
For me personally, that was kind of the vibe that I got from all of the games that they showed off.
Yeah.
Was that they were trying really hard to emulate the success of Last of Us.
So here's a question then, because I know, like, as somebody that really hasn't played God of War, maybe played like 2 hours of the first one, and I actually do want to play it. I just never.
We're gonna
got
do a
to.
Let's Play for it.
But like, so considering that it is slower, does it and you know the tonal change of it, like he's actually a lot more patient. He's not so, I guess, angry at everything. Like, does it bother you that they're going more of, it seems like, an actual story first and then gameplay second, versus like what seems like the original God of War was more like gameplay and then story second?
I mean, it definitely does.
If the story is done well, it doesn't bother me.
When we talk about this, I definitely think they shouldn't have gone Norse.
Yeah, I agree. They should have gone
It's
Egyptian.
too similar.
They should have done
to,
the Egyptian pantheon instead.
It's too similar to the Greek mythology from 1 through 3 and all the side quests.
Norse is also like the big thing that everyone's doing right now, so it's not really setting itself apart.
Yeah, I definitely think like Egyptian pantheon would have been
or Mayan.
Or even Mayan
Well,
would have been way more.
The reason that I thought
to...
Egyptian would be interesting was because I thought, like, chronologically, it would make sense for Greek Roman to jump to Egyptian.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for all that, I mean, again, that's what we would have wanted. I definitely think what bothers me now is, right, so for those of you that have or haven't played Last of Us, you know, the progression for the second game that will come out, I don't know how God of War can, either Kratos is going to die or his son's going to die.
Well, they've already said that you keep the kid with you throughout the entire game. He's probably not going to die.
Well,
it could be at the end.
Maybe.
Okay, if they do God of War Norse Part 2, they can't. I don't know if you can continuously do a partner thing, right? I don't know if you can continuously do a father-son for 3 games.
Yeah.
Right? I feel like one of them is going to have...
Is going to have to take over.
Yeah.
I think if they're doing a complete tonal change, the son is going to be the next one to carry on his legacy.
Yeah.
I honestly would be more okay with it if they do just kill off Kratos in the game.
Yeah, I mean, again, I know people want to see it. I don't even know if people want to see him grow into that role. It's so different from the...
It is, but if he has a son, he's going to change. It makes sense that he's going to change as a person, so that he's not going to basically beat his kid up.
I don't know.
He should.
But I mean, it had a good tonal change. I like or it had an interesting tonal change. It definitely does throwbacks to the previous games in terms of how he's handling himself with calming down and telling his son, you know, don't just do things to do them, have a plan, which definitely wasn't Kratos in 1 through 3. It was kind of like...
But how old is this kid now?
Like
12?
8 to 12?
Yeah.
So that's a lot of time for Kratos to, like, you know...
Yeah, no,
change.
definitely.
And maybe, like, in between that time, maybe we'll even get flashbacks.
Oh, of course there'll be flashbacks.
I just want some kind of explanation as to why we jumped from Greek to Norse.
Yeah, but it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be upset if there's not a boss fight against Ratatoskr.
But, and again, those are probably my biggest 2 from Sony.
But I do like the idea of making the final fight against Odin. That would be pretty badass.
Again, it feels akin to Zeus personally, but
I think Odin's more badass than Zeus. Zeus was kind of a dick.
Yeah.
And,
Well, so was Odin.
well, Odin's a dick, but I think he's a more interesting, like,
He's probably a better
well, Zeus was
ruler.
doing his
combative figure.
Zeus
for
was doing
Kratos.
his more out of fear of being.
I think
killed than
that's the
Odin would
problem
be.
that I have with them moving to Norse mythology and changing the gameplay,
Uh-huh.
is that the Norse were way more in
Brutal.
your face and brutal. And they seem to have toned down the gameplay in response to that. And
Gotcha.
it's weird.
Other big one I was looking forward to was I was really impressed with not Stick of Truth,
The Fractured
Fractured
Behold.
Behold. Man, talk about a lot of gameplay and presentation for that entire just span of 20-ish minutes.
Yeah,
Really showed-
I guess.
I liked it, man.
I don't like South Park to begin with, so
Oh.
it's not really my target,
I mean,
or I'm not the target demographic for it.
I laughed at the jokes. The gameplay looks
And the creators of
improved.
South Park look really old.
they are, but the gameplay looks improved over Stick of Truth. So if you like that, they're gonna give you more of it.
Yeah, if
And if you're into the superhero thing, we've been doing podcasts on comic book movies. There's definitely material in there that will.
The J.J. Abrams joke was really good.
Yeah.
That landed really well.
I think there's a lot of material now since that's kind of the big thing. Hats off to Ubisoft for
Not making a cringeworthy conference this year.
that, and it's something small and it's something that
That bird game looks boring as fuck.
it shouldn't have been.
It looks
Yeah.
like it's like what you said, Sam.
it's a party game,
It looks like a good party game, but it
it's not
doesn't
something
really have a
that
whole
it's
lot
all-
of.
yeah.
long term. I don't
Uh,
think it's meant to be either.
But it was also really funny watching them play it.
Yeah. But hats off to Ubisoft, and it's something like more of a personal point to me. I was upset slightly that in Microsoft's trailer for Gears of War 4 with the gameplay, they censored out the cuss words.
Did they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the middle of the trailer. And Ubisoft, I mean, I'm pretty sure it was like one of their conditions that they're like, you can't censor us if we're going to be on the show because they were. And it's something small, and I know other people probably appreciated it. It's just it's if it fits the tone of the game, if it fits like what you're trying to build as a world, with,
Yeah.
South Park or Gears
Yeah.
of War, I think you shouldn't try to change that with this needless censorship.
Especially when everybody else is like doing it.
Yeah.
Like Aisha Tyler, the first fucking few minutes of that,
Yeah.
she laid the F bomb down.
Yeah, so I respect, and hats off to Aisha Tyler. I mean, she's done.
I should like.
She's gotten better every year.
Yeah.
Like talk
Yeah.
best presenter.
She's
of all-
She's
yeah.
always the
series.
best presenter.
Well, it helps that she's a comedian,
Well, it does.
so she's used to being in front of audiences.
Yeah, and I mean,
Like most of the people that are talking are producers and developers, and they're not people that stand around and
she
talk to
she
people.
took bit jabs at all the trolls that constantly heckle her for being.
Yeah,
in the
I mean,
video game
I
world.
really don't see what the hate is for Aisha Tyler. I think that she's fine.
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm glad that they have her and not Mr. Caffeine still.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh my god.
But yeah, no, I mean, if we're talking best of, I think her presentation overall is just it's on point every time. I think she gets across what she needs to get across, and she's genuine about her compassion for games. Right? She
Yeah.
doesn't come off as fake or
Have you
like she
seen?
doesn't care.
Have you seen her actually play like Cards Against Humanity?
No.
It's fucking hilarious.
They
You should watch it. They were
I'm-
they were drinking whiskey while they were playing.
Yeah.
did a really good job this year. Like everyone overall did a good job of keeping the focus on games and not on
Like
gimmicks.
especially Sony.
Yeah.
Especially Sony.
I was worried, like, they did jump into VR for a little bit, but they
But
didn't
that's the-
spend the
that's the
entire
thing.
conference just being like, hey, here's our new VR.
Here's our new like TV show for VR.
Yeah.
But they, like,
Unfortunately, Ubisoft falls for me a lot of in between. Not bad, just a lot of in between.
I think, honestly, in my opinion, I think Microsoft had a better conference than Sony. Just because they were showing things that were coming
How-
out this year, but also they were, like, my favorite part of E3 was the fact that they are harping strongly on crossplay between Xbox
Yes,
and
how
PC.
how dare you, sir?
How-
No, I'm with you on that too. No, it's the unpopular opinion, unfortunately, and any of you people that really love Sony that
I-
listen to us, I mean,
I'm
you're
not
going to
saying
disagree.
that Sony had a bad
They didn't.
conference,
They didn't.
but a lot of people were also, like, from what I've been reading on the internet, a lot of people are like, I'm glad they didn't spend a lot of time talking about any of their games. Like, why? I'd prefer that they have somebody out there saying something about it.
Yeah.
Not just showing me a trailer and telling me nothing.
Yeah, I mean, so going into Microsoft, I mean, Gears 4, it seems like this E3 was definitely let's take the games that were best received were let's take steps back to what made us kind of popular in the first place, right? So Zelda, Back to the Streets, even Gears has more of a not horror game feel, but more of a like suspenseful, unknown kind of feel that the first Gears had, right? It wasn't a horror game per se.
I was
Oh,
really
I know
surprised
what you're talking
that
about.
they didn't show anything about Halo 6.
I'm
Like,
not.
I was honestly
I'm not.
surprised by that.
But Gears 4 looks great. I mean, the set pieces are still really good. Like I said, they're going back to the more of a survival mentality where it's
Yeah.
not.
Which makes sense.
And I think that it'll pan out well for them.
My
So-
big problem is just that I don't care about Gears anymore. It wasn't ever like super exciting to me to begin with, but I gave the first two the benefit of the doubt, and I enjoyed the first one. And the games aren't bad by any means. I just don't think that they're what I look for personally. I
Yeah.
think they're targeted more towards a younger 20s, high teens
like
demographic.
Call of Duty, because it seems very
Yeah.
Call
Well,
of Duty-ish.
I mean, for lack of a better term, dude bro kind of.
Yeah, the Dude Bro demo.
I mean, that's what Halo is, right?
Yes. Forza Horizons 3 is probably one
Horizon 3 is one of the games that I'm looking
I'm
forward to
I'm
this
really
year.
stoked about it. I love the first two. They really, for those of you that are in the car scene or in that kind of like vein of society, I think it does one of the best jobs of capturing that aesthetic or even just the feeling of car enthusiasts. Like I really feel like
It's really good, and it reminds me of like Horizon as a franchise has I've enjoyed a lot because it reminds me a lot of the old Need for Speed Underground games.
Yeah.
And Underground was my favorite Need for Speed game.
Yeah, and the amount of it looks beautiful. Of course, it's a racing game. The amount of the drop in, drop out is definitely
co-op.
the big thing
Yes.
this year.
Yeah.
Which is fine by me.
oh,
I
yeah.
think more games should be doing that.
That's what, kind of like you were saying, that's what Microsoft, that's why I'm excited about Microsoft, is because now I don't have to necessarily buy an Xbox to play with
The same
Xbox
games,
people. Yeah.
But at the same token, it means that I can just upgrade my PC and I don't have to worry about getting one of these Scorpios that are coming out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I mean, Horizons 3. I mean, it had a bunch of different environments. It's even bigger than 2. I like and it's something small, right? But not having to hold my guide button to go into the menu, to
Yeah.
go to accept invite, to be able to just press it in game and have
Yeah.
it seamlessly. Fantastic. Like more games need to do that rather than me pausing my game.
They also did a whole lot of
Yeah.
talking about the changing to the infrastructure for Xbox Live,
Yes.
which is fine by me because they're streamlining it, making it better. They're introducing Cortana to people that don't have a Kinect as well, which is going to be exciting because I'll be able to use Cortana to get around on Xbox without doing anything. A lot of people have a problem with the fact that in order to get all of this integration on the PC, you have to upgrade to Windows 10, but I've been on Windows 10 since it came out. I've yet to have any problems with it.
The other one
Feels better too.
Yeah, I think it runs better
For
than
sure.
7 did.
the other one I'm really looking forward to. I was hesitant on ReCore. I really was.
I still haven't seen enough of it.
I
Yeah.
want to see more, but I'm definitely more
Interested.
interested in it now. Like they did a good job of presenting enough to like kind of like get me whet my appetite, but not again. I want more, but
Yeah.
From the creative team behind it, I think it has some good qualities.
I also really want them to hurry up and release Cuphead. God damn it.
Yeah, it's been what 3 years now.
It's been at
Jesus.
E3 for the past 3 years,
Yeah.
and it's
I mean,
still
it's
not out.
nowhere. Yeah,
If you look at what it takes to even emulate the old school like cartoon and
Yeah.
then put it into a game, I can only imagine how crazy that
Yeah.
development is.
But it looks so good because it
Um,
looks like an old 20s cartoon.
Yeah.
But to go back to things that weren't necessarily game related, crossplay is a big push for them, and it should be. I think that's what's going to help keep them relevant, since Sony's still outselling them hardware wise.
Well, so this was one of the things that I wanted to bring up was the fact that at this point I think that all three companies, Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft, have all just moved in completely different directions. They're not focusing on any one aspect that the other one's doing. Like
Yeah.
Sony's doing a hard push with their software and their hardware. Microsoft is doing their push between crossplay because they're trying to bring in the PC audience.
Yes.
And Nintendo is off doing whatever the fuck it is Nintendo decides they want to do. Because they're like, we've got the Nintendo 3DS, so we don't care. We can do what we want.
But that's good. I want them to
And
kind of do their own things.
I'm entirely okay with it. I think that it means ultimately the console wars are kind of gone.
No longer will we have this. Ooh, my water graphics
No,
effect is better. My water graphics is better.
they're still gonna do it.
Well, I
Unfortunately.
mean, there's still going to be people that are dumb and like, my console's better than your console. But
Well-
like, everything's going for a different approach. They're not competing directly with each other anymore.
Yeah. So that's good. The other thing that was really good that I was very I gave almost no attention for all the announcements pre E3 about We Happy Few. The trailer and the brief gameplay that I saw really got me. It brought me back to BioShock. Personally.
I was impressed by it because I had seen a whole lot of the early access stuff for We Happy Few and wasn't impressed by it.
Yeah.
But it looks like it's got a whole lot more polish now than it did last
Yeah.
time I saw it.
And I think for anybody not following it along as closely, like me or a lot of viewers,
Yeah.
or
I
even-
watched Markiplier play it and I was like, that looks neat, I guess.
I definitely liked the it had a creepy vibe. Like I said, it brought me back to like a
Yeah, it
BioShock
has a
kinda
whole lot
feel.
more of a BioShock feel now than it did when they originally
and
announced it.
it looks good. I really think that it has some interesting like psychological things behind it.
If
fine.
it's gonna be more of a story driven like Firewatch or The Vanishing of Ethan Carter
Yeah.
type of feel, I'm perfectly okay with that.
Yeah, no,
Because that gives me exactly what I want. Something I can play really quick, get a really good story out of it,
Mhm.
and it won't be super expensive.
Resident Evil 7, I was also really excited about because it's not like Resident Evil 6.
4 or 5.
They had said that they were bringing in devs from the PT crew, so I was expecting it to emulate PT a lot, but I wasn't expecting it to emulate it quite as much as it does.
Yeah, and that's what my concern was. Is
Yeah.
I want Resident Evil and Silent Hill to be just like they were, two separate entities
Nope.
way back in the day.
They're gonna merge. It's gonna be a
And I mean, this is probably the
melding.
most shallow thing that I'll ever say, but I'm less interested in it as I was. I'm not as interested in it as I was in PT, just because it doesn't look as photorealistic. Because PT looked amazing. It was probably the best looking game I had ever seen. And Resident Evil 7 looks good, but graphically it doesn't look like it's on par with PT.
Fair enough. I think it again. I think one of the themes for this year was take a step forward by taking steps back. Right? They're
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
go back to their
Horror
horror.
My
They're
big
doing it incorrectly.
Yeah.
I think they are. I don't think they're doing it
Personally,
the right way.
I wish that what they would have done with Resident Evil would have been to do what they did with The Evil Within. Not Capcom specifically, but I liked the gameplay in The Evil Within. It just kind of fell flat.
Yeah, definitely.
So but I would have preferred to see them take that approach of like, we're just going to make a more horror-esque, over-the-shoulder game like we did with Resident Evil 4. Like, everyone loved Resident Evil 4. Why aren't you just doing Resident Evil 4
Man,
again?
no,
Yeah.
because stopping and shooting, as much as it added to the game, I feel like it took
Well,
away
that's
just
what I'm
as much.
saying, is like, The Evil
Well,
Within doesn't do that.
Yeah,
That's-
definitely.
But
That's
it
the
still
thing.
plays like 4.
If you're going survival horror, but you're trying to push like the newer generation, you have to stick to some of the roots that survival horror was built on, and standing still and shooting, limiting what you can do without sacrificing a lot is one of those aspects.
I'm also upset that they didn't show anything about Resident Evil 2 Remake.
Yeah.
But there's a big rumor that they're probably going to have some kind of demo tied into Resident Evil 7
It
for the
wouldn't-
Resident
it
Evil
wouldn't
2
surprise
demo.
me.
Or for the Resident Evil 2 Remake.
Either of y'all excited about Scalebound? Because I am.
I really want it to be good. I wasn't super impressed with the gameplay demo that they gave.
Mhm.
Like, the scale of it was cool.
Yeah, no, it had a
Pun
really good
intended.
scale.
The fact that you can do multiplayer boss fights
Yeah.
is another big sell. for
I'm
me,
just
but-
worried that it's gonna fall into the same problem that every game does whenever they do multiplayer boss fights, and that you're just gonna have this big boss with a giant health pool, and it's not gonna be super interesting.
It didn't seem like it had a giant health pool, and it seemed like you had to do more mechanic stuff.
Right. But I'm still a little cautious just because the gameplay wasn't quite as fast paced as I was looking
Platinum
forward
never
to.
comes out with bad things, Brian.
It's
You've
true.
said this before.
I know, and I'll
so
play
you
it.
Can't.
And it'll
can't go back
probably
on
be
that.
good. I'm just saying that
Can't
I'm
be on
hoping
record.
that the final game will be a little bit more fast paced.
For sure. I'm excited about Quake.
Quake
I-
Champions.
Quake
Yeah,
Champions
Champions.
looks like it'll be
I really want a. I mean, I wasn't disappointed in Doom's multiplayer, but it definitely didn't deliver on what I wanted it to. Not like the campaign did.
Right. Oh my
Campaign
goodness.
is so
But-
good. Oh my god.
But-
I'm so glad that we're going through this era of the return to arcade shooters.
Mhm.
Because arcade shooters are so much more exciting than military shooters all the time.
Well, especially because we've been bombarded with military shooters for the last
Yeah.
decade.
Speaking of which, I was really surprised with the Infinite Warfare demo because I didn't realize that it was a Call of Duty game until about halfway through.
Yeah, I was wondering why everybody like. I still haven't seen the video for the Call of Duty that everybody hates,
Mhm.
but that trailer, I was like, huh, I might kind of play Call of Duty.
Yeah, that
maybe,
actually
maybe
looked
not.
interesting.
Like, it actually piqued my interest for once.
If they hadn't if they hadn't had the missteps for the past, I want to say 3 iterations of Call of Duty, I would probably be more interested.
Right.
But unlike you guys, I kind of followed it pretty heavily from Modern Warfare 1, Call of Duty 4.
Well, I mean, I played all of them up to Black Ops 2. Black Ops 2 was the last one.
Well, see, I even went beyond that. I went to Ghosts and Advanced Warfare, and Ghosts I hated. Advanced Warfare didn't really care for.
I haven't really felt like any
Ops
of them
3 I didn't really care
have
for.
been a big deviation
Yeah,
from the
they haven't.
formula. But Infinite Warfare looks like it might be a deviation from the formula. If nothing else, if I can actually do like starfighter battles, I'm down.
I don't think they're gonna be able to.
No, I
Well,
think
I
it's going
can
to be pretty.
dream,
I think it's going to be
can't
pretty
I?
70s
Right.
stuff.
But I'm
I
just
said
saying,
if.
Yeah.
But yeah, Quake reminds me that just. I mean, they didn't show gameplay, but I
I-
want that fast-paced, Unreal style of fighting.
Yes.
I heard a lot of Quake, the like hardcore Quake fans are pretty upset at the character designs and what they're doing with it. And I can understand, because if you're a fan of something for a long time and it's not, like what you want it to be, I can understand that frustration, but I think it's going to be good overall
Right.
for
But if it aesthetically doesn't look the same, but it plays the same, are you really gonna care?
not aesthetically. I'm talking about like how I have to look at the article again, but there's something about how it was compared to what they're saying they're presenting, because it sounds like more like Overwatch.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only comparison I can think of right now. But
So more like class specific.
yeah, they're kind of like
Yeah, that I'm not entirely sold on.
so
Well, I mean, I feel like it's a mixture of. I mean, even Unreal didn't have. They had like races that had different abilities. Like the robotic ones could jump higher.
yeah.
The more gothy ones could, or a bit like the life siphoned, where you killed someone, you gain a percentage of your health back. So each different race had its own ability, but I can see what you mean. If they're borrowing elements from other games and instead of making it a true return to form, I could see why someone would be upset, right?
An
Like if
original
Doom,
fan.
if Doom decided to do what like I don't know,
Overwatch.
Overwatch did, I think people would be upset about that. But I definitely think this is a good time for a revival
It
of
really is.
games that were early mid '80s, right? Those were
No,
80s games,
90s.
early
No, those
90s.
were 90s.
Those
I
were
don't know, I was-
late
I-
90s,
again,
early 2000s.
I didn't play Doom growing up. I didn't play Quake growing
Right.
up. Like I didn't play a lot of those games, so my frame of reference for those is a little
Doom was
skewed.
like mid 90s.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I think this is a good time to take some of those.
Just waiting for that hardcore, edgy Pong reboot.
Pac-Man.
I think this is the right time because But speaking of those, right? Like there was a time in the early 2000s where they were doing like Pac-Man World and like Duke Nukem Forever and all those retro games they tried to bring into this newer genre or new era.
The problem
they
with
failed
those
horribly
the problem with
all
those
the time.
games wasn't that it was that they harkened back to it too hard. Like they didn't adapt to the way that games have grown.
Yeah,
They were just like, we're gonna take the exact same product and put it out 10 years later.
Yeah. And I think, like I said, I think now is a good time for companies to get behind that. And I would way more appreciate it than just remastered games from 6 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you, Elder Scrolls.
Skyrim looks really good. I just don't care about it.
Yeah. I think there were other Elder Scrolls games that
I would
the
have
fans
preferred for
not-
them to
not
just
me.
announce a new Skyrim.
It's too soon.
or
It's
or
way too
or
soon.
How is it too
remaster
soon?
remaster an older one
For a new
because that's what
Skyrim?
people
Because
wanted.
Skyrim came out like
Re-
6 years ago.
Yeah, remaster an older one like Oblivion.
Oh, yeah, I'm saying just make a new one.
Oh no, I'm talking about the remaster of Skyrim.
And,
It's
like,
too soon.
I guess the last big one for me, unless you guys have any other fun ones, I'm really looking forward to Titanfall 2. I
Titanfall
love
2 looks really good.
Yeah.
Titanfall 1, mechanic-wise, it was very clean. It was fun. It was fast-paced. And I think they're doubling down on that, keeping it fluid, but also addressing the issues of... You got... All right, the progression system was garbage. Like,
Yeah.
it didn't keep you interested at all.
Are you worried about how? Because I know they haven't mentioned anything about price points or anything, but are you worried about how they're gonna package this Titanfall?
What do you mean, like...
Well, like you said, because I haven't played Titanfall, the first one. but people are saying like, oh, the $60 is too much for this one, and considering what's been happening with Battlefield recently,
But this one's got a campaign.
right? Are you concerned about like how this is going to be packaged, like the DLC, all of
I mean,
that?
yes, because
price
it's
I mean, it's
EA.
it's EA. I pretty
So-
much expect them to do the same thing with everything.
Yeah, I mean, I
They're
definitely.
probably going to package it the same way they packaged Battlefield, which
Yeah.
was the same way they packaged Battlefront.
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons why I'm not going to get it.
Yep.
I mean, I'll get it.
I mean,
And then I'll
get
wait
it.
for them to. Because with Titanfall, they released all their DLC for like stupid cheap within like 6 months.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say day one. I'm not going to.
But most of that was
yeah, for
also
sure.
because the following for Titanfall fell off really fast.
Yeah, again, they couldn't keep me interested. I definitely think if they address those points which they brought up, more customization, a better progression system, and they keep that fluid, just gameplay. That gameplay was just so good.
They should just do the same thing that everyone else is doing, where you release a full-scale product and then you do microtransactions that pay for DLC so that everyone doesn't have to pay for DLC.
Yeah, I mean, they said a lot of the DLC was coming out for free, I think, at least for the first part.
Can we talk about Prey?
I was gonna.
Can
bring
we
that up.
talk about how it doesn't look like Prey?
I
About
was
how
gonna.
it doesn't
No,
look
I was
like
gonna
like
ask
they just
that.
took the name of Prey and
Yeah.
put it on something
I-
else.
Well, no,
I was
there's
gonna
still,
ask that.
There's
I was
still
gonna-
the alien presence, right?
Right.
And there's still the of getting abducted. It seems like, but like it, I'm interested. Like I have the collector's edition for it. I actually got it for like $5 because
Gotcha.
nobody wanted it. But like I'm actually kind of excited about it. Like
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is it a reboot? Is it a sequel?
I heard it's kind of a reboot.
Yeah, because I know what was it like E3 4-ish years ago. There was a teaser for Prey 2, and then it just never happened.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
it ended up getting canned.
And that's what I'm saying. So to see it now, not with the two
Yeah.
at the end, I was like, is this a reboot or what? I mean, it looked interesting.
Yeah.
I definitely.
I was
more interested in it.
also-
Need gameplay, obviously.
Well,
As
yes.
far as other games that I was excited for Honor looks a lot better than it did last
I like
time.
their
I saw
announcer.
it.
Yes.
I like their announcer.
Yeah.
And yeah, it
Like it's got an actual campaign now, and it's not just a multiplayer focus.
yes.
It looks like.
It looks like Dynasty.
It's
Warriors.
Dynasty Warriors with more weight
Yes.
to it, which I'm okay with.
Yeah,
I mean,
I enjoyed Dynasty Warriors, so having better Dynasty Warriors.
Dynasty
is fine
Warriors
by me.
Gundam was my favorite.
I'm
I'm
excited for
a
the next
fan.
Dynasty Warriors because the next one they're doing is Berserk.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yep.
Let's not forget Detroit.
Yeah, Detroit was.
Detroit looks really good, but
It's
it's Quantic Dream.
yeah,
and I
it's-
expect it to not be as good as it looks.
I mean, if you want, okay, well,
I think that all of their games are more style than substance.
and some people want that. For some
But-
people, that's what they've been looking for.
But like, I'm worried because they make it seem like you can basically do anything and change the story to it.
I think it's going to be episodic.
Yeah.
Ish.
As long as they don't do like I get
Kind of like.
Until Dawn
Walking
kind of
Dead.
upset me because it made it seem like there were all these like branching pathways, butterfly effect kind of thing, and it was. I mean, it was.
There are a lot of
development studio.
outcomes for Until Dawn.
Outcomes. I think the outcomes were limited. I think your path towards them was very
I mean,
different.
the big problem with Until Dawn isn't. It's like it's not really a whole lot of choice. It's like basically you come to a path and it goes this way or that way. There's two options. You
That's what I'm
never,
saying.
it,
I think-
it never has more than two options. For
And
any
I think if
situation,
this game kind of showed that you can have different options beyond just.
which is what I'm
left or
kind of
right.
worried about, is like if they're gonna do it right or
Oh
not.
yeah, I mean
Well,
anything if they do it right.
It also seemed like, and this is just from the cinematic trailer, but it seemed like the more he actually looked around the room, the more options he
Yeah, he was
got.
doing
Yeah.
detective work.
So it's probably, and that's what I'm excited about.
Yeah.
is
The detective
more
work
you
looked
do-
interesting.
The more you do, the more options you'll have later.
Yeah.
That's the
See, and that's better than just if I made a guess here.
It's kind of like LA Noire, except better.
So I think that we touched on all the really big stuff.
We didn't talk about Steep.
We did not talk about.
I'm really
Steep.
excited about Steep.
SSX.
I'm cautiously excited if it has a good soundtrack for it.
Extreme sports games are awesome. I miss extreme sports games.
Well, right, but it also needs a good soundtrack. For
Yes.
Oh, that's the other good thing. Background. The updates to Xbox. Background music and like those kind of things. I'm happy.
It. No, it's good for.
Yeah,
it's
it's
a nice.
fine.
It's a quality of life change.
Yeah.
I personally
good.
don't really listen to background
Right,
music
you don't,
while I'm
but a
playing.
lot of
well, yeah,
people
I'm not
do.
saying
A
that other
lot of
people don't.
do.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I personally don't because I Like, if the game itself is made well, it'll have a decent background
Well,
music to it.
Microsoft is trying to make everything more like for the players, and this is
And they're
another
making it
step
more.
in
They're making
that
it
right
more
direction.
PC. Or like, because think about it, right? If I'm playing a PC game, I can go open YouTube or Spotify or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And
just-
playing in the background while it's quality of life. I
Yeah.
think that's fine.
I'm fine with it.
So
It's there. Okay.
bad,
Sure.
bad now or in between.
So
first?
the major bad point would be for me the fact that everything was announced before E3.
Yeah,
We
that's
didn't even talk about Dead Rising 4 now that I think about it.
Oh my god.
Hey,
Oh my
obviously
God.
it wasn't good enough for you guys to remember. No,
There was just so much going
there
on,
was-
and they didn't really show anything about
I mean,
it other than a trailer.
I think it borrowed from the best parts of the previous games, right? The vehicle stuff from 3, the kind of outlandish weapons from 2. Like it's combining, I guess, the better elements of the previous.
And it
games.
brought Frank back, and everyone loves Frank.
Everybody's saying that it's a return to form. Like 3 was terrible, and I love
3
3.
wasn't bad.
I love 3.
3
Oh
wasn't
my
bad.
God.
I didn't. I've
I
never.
never
been-
got into them as much as I did the first one, but my biggest problem with Dead Rising was always the time limits. It bothered me a whole lot.
like the story mode stuff.
Yeah, where it was like, if you don't do this by X time, the game's over.
Yeah, you get the worst ending.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Yeah, I understand that. Like, give me an open world place to just do whatever the hell I want.
Yeah,
Zombies,
that's
don't
what
really
I
care
want.
about
Just let me kill
that's,
shit.
That's why you like you.
That's why they make you play the game first, and then you
Yes.
get
Yeah.
the fun
And
stuff.
then you get the fun.
But I
I'm
want the
fine
fun
with
stuff first.
Yeah. So okay, that was
But
all
no, the big bad problem is that
yeah, there was no
everything
surprises.
leaked beforehand. Like, all the magic of E3 was gone.
Yeah, there was nothing that really. There were some things that were surprise to me, but I'm sure had I taken 5 minutes to look up anything about E3, it would have been like, here's what Sony's presenting. Here's
Right.
what right. Like it wouldn't have been a.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been a.
Because, like, Resident Evil, God of War, not Scalebound so much, but, like, Resident Evil, God of War, Zelda were all already said we're gonna be there.
Batman VR.
Yeah.
VR is, like,
So the bad stuff in addition to that.
PlayStation
EA?
VR.
EA's most of their presentation was. You gotta understand, guys. We're not, and guys being you listening. None of us are really big sports game players. I dabble in
My
it from time
problem-
to time, and EA's conferences are
Well,
never really.
My
It's-
problem
so-
is never with them bringing games. Like, I expect EA to bring sports games to
Yeah,
E3.
It's just so boring.
The problem that I have with them is they never bring games to E3. They bring concepts.
That's yes.
Yeah, they were really
They-
pushing their tournament stuff.
Because that's
their-
what they've been doing for years. Like, when
Yeah.
they first announced that they got the Star Wars franchise,
Uh-huh.
all they
Yeah,
did was
that's
show a
weird.
whole bunch
Those-
of concept art.
And that's fine if you're going to show me concept
Yeah.
art, but bring something else with
yeah.
it.
Is it too soon to have a new Battlefront? I feel like it is. I feel like it's a misstep.
They don't really.
They're coming out with a new Battlefront next year, which
Well,
I think is too soon.
that's what EA does. They serialize everything and make it an
Um,
annual release.
But to your point, though, right? They
But
were
they
like,
also announced that they've got
Visceral game.
Visceral is doing a.
But they're just like,
Star
it's a
Wars
Star
game.
Wars game in 2018.
Yeah, they
And
haven't
they were
said
like-
anything else about it.
There's Respawn's doing a third-person Star Wars game.
But the idea
sometime
that
next
the
year.
guys that did Dead Space are working on a Star Wars is pretty cool.
Until you give me something to
Yeah.
look at, I don't give a crap. Like
Yeah.
like Mass Effect Andromeda. I don't fucking care until you give
Okay,
me something to look at.
I more put that in kind of in between personally.
Really?
I mean, I like the little.
I put
Kind
it
of-
in bad because Mass Effect is bad.
Don't start. I like the little gameplay stuff that they gave me. I mean, you could extrapolate on it, but I think what they showed me is like, okay, they're committed to the open world environment kind of thing.
Is it?
It made me think of, and I could be wrong. It made me think of a more right. Everyone's biggest complaint about Star Trek right now is that it's instead of focusing on the exploration part, it's an action movie first and
Yeah.
everything else second.
It's because that's how you sell tickets.
Well, yes, but this new Mass Effect Andromeda, it looks like it's more about exploration and kind of finding. Again, the story is finding a new home for Earth.
So here's my question with that.
Mhm.
Is it trying to do what No Man's Sky is trying to do, but on a smaller scale?
Potentially.
Because that's the only direction I've ever
Ex-
felt like this thing is going. in.
Exploration, yeah. I think I have high hopes for it just because I really like Mass Effect 2 and 3. 1, when you
That's
play
what-
1 now, it's really
no.
bad.
Even when 2 came out and I played the first one, I'm like, I can't
Yeah,
do this.
1
2
yeah.
made me go back
Yeah.
and play 1.
2 2 was leaps and bounds ahead of 1, and
It was
1
way better.
1 is just really bad now.
Um,
But I know you don't care for it, Brian. I really cared about
I've
the
played
lore
Mass
and the
Effect 1 and
background.
2. I haven't touched 3. I don't have anything against Mass Effect. I'll just always personally be spiteful of the fact that BioWare didn't make Knights of the Old Republic 3. That's why I don't like Mass Effect.
Well, that's
Hater.
a stupid reason.
Yeah.
Well,
But-
fine.
But it is your reason, yes.
So what I heard is that like since this is taking place in another galaxy,
Mhm.
is Andromeda taking place when the Reapers attack Earth and everybody just escapes?
I don't know. It'd be an interesting twist, right? If they're planning,
Well, I mean, like,
or if the
it's-
fallout from 1 through 3 is like, well, now our planet's all jacked up, so we need a new.
Well, this is coming from somebody who hasn't played 3 yet. And
Gotcha.
I really need to. But I heard that it's happening right when the Reapers attack is the start of Andromeda, so they leave, so they don't know that what happened
Gotcha.
at the end of
Could
3,
be.
basically.
I haven't
Could
heard
be
anything with
interesting.
it. I have high hopes for it.
I'll eventually get around to playing Mass Effect 3
Yeah.
after I finish Witcher 3.
After you finish Phantom
so many
Pain.
games.
After I finish I finished Phantom Pain. I
You
just
have
haven't
it.
100%ed it.
See, you haven't finished it then.
After I finish Fallout 4.
EA's presentation was just kind of boring to me. Like their announcer didn't really care. In my
EA's
opinion,
presentations are always pretty boring.
They brought out the
If-
Madden people and
Last
didn't
year
even
was
talk
really
to them.
good.
Hmm.
Last year was really good.
I think it was acceptable.
It was good. My only problem with EA right now is that they're just showing concept and they're not showing anything game related except for sports, and that's fine if you're into sports. But for also
They
the
didn't
rest
show
of
any
us,
Battlefield gameplay.
They showed Battlefield 1.
They showed it. They didn't show gameplay.
They showed gameplay for Microsoft,
It was the same trailer.
but it was gameplay.
It was
They
a
showed
cinematic trailer.
gameplay.
No,
yeah,
it was a cinematic trailer.
it was with Snoop Dogg and Zac
Yeah,
Efron.
they had
and-
a whole lot of gameplay
Getting
there.
all-
Oh,
drugged up.
well, that was after the fact.
yeah,
It was Jamie Foxx. Well, I mean,
That's
for
it.
their presentation, they
Oh.
didn't show gameplay.
yeah.
They
The
just showed the
presentation
trailer.
they didn't.
Like I'm basing it like right. We can talk about all the stuff that happened off camera, but for anybody that
I
only
still think
watched the
that they shouldn't be
presentations,
doing
it was
World
just-
War One.
Battle One.
yeah,
Battle One.
If they're going to they should. If they're going to go back, they should go way back.
Civil War.
I'm talking like American Revolution,
Gotcha. Yeah.
War of 1812.
Just Far Cry Primal. Just,
Yeah, see?
Stone Age.
Nobody cares about World War
I mean,
One.
They were really pushy of their new competitive initiative.
That's fine. I mean, I think
Um,
it's something. I think it's a great way to build a community.
I think it is too. Oh man, we missed out on that too.
Community.
No, we said community,
Community's
quality
been
of life
over for a
stuff. Xbox doing
The
their
tournament
LFGs
Looking for
Yeah.
group.
built
Yeah.
into a console. Fantastic. Now I
No.
don't have to go on a message board or anything else. I can do it directly from my console
Which is
Thank you.
Yeah,
because me and you both play Smite, Sam, and
it's a lot
finding
easier for me
yeah.
to get it.
well, you, but I need to find people to play with, and
Right.
LFG looking for group on built into the console will just make my life easier.
and
personally.
What would make it easier is if you just didn't play Smite.
No,
Problem solved.
how dare you? I mean, they brought your standard Madden 17 again. Don't really care
FIFA.
about it. FIFA. It just
Look at all of our Star Wars. We have all the Star Wars.
Pretty much. Don't blink or
They're
you'll miss
kind of
it.
rubbing it in the face, like, hey guys, guess who has it?
We got stuff.
We got
Like,
things.
yeah, well, maybe you
we
should
got Jamie
actually
Foxx
do
and Zac
something
Efron
about it.
here, okay?
Snoop Dogg.
They didn't have Snoop Dogg, I don't think.
They did.
They did.
He was there.
Oh, I saw that.
Maybe not at the conference or at the
No, yeah,
presentation,
no, it
but he
was-
was definitely there.
It was afterward.
Gotcha.
When they asked him if he has a secret weapon, he says,
I was
yes, but I
also
can't say it on screen.
extremely underwhelmed by the PlayStation VR presentation because I didn't
that-
care about a single one of the
That
games
went
they
on
showed
for.
off.
Wait, you don't want your
Hold up.
you don't want your X-wing VR?
It's one game, one mission, one flight mission, and it's probably going to be an on rails thing.
Bad from since you brought up Sony.
Yeah, Final Fantasy.
Final Fantasy VR looks
God, that
like
looks
a
terrible.
waste.
Because you can only do it with the guy who has the gun.
Well, you can't even move when you're doing it. It's all on rails.
Oh yeah. F that.
The entire presentation was on rails. Everyone that was at the conference that talked about it said it was terrible because you couldn't do anything.
Oh, Farpoint?
Eh,
No. It looked interesting, to
It
say
looked
the least.
meh.
Okay, fair enough.
meh.
I
God of War.
don't really care about Crash Bandicoot being in Skylanders, but I am happy that I'm
I'm-
getting it remastered.
Honestly, I'm not that
Called
excited about it.
this.
And the main reason that I'm
Called
not
this.
excited about it is because they're remastering it from the ground up, and Naughty Dog isn't going to be working on it.
Oh.
Activision's got the rights to Crash, so they're going to be the ones that are working on it.
Gotcha.
They have the rights to Spyro too.
They're the ones that do Skylanders, which is why Crash is going to be in Skylanders.
I don't know. You guys are going to disagree. One of the things I would put as bad, personally, I didn't care for how Nintendo presented their stuff.
I'm fine with it.
I didn't love
The reason that I'm okay
freeform
with
stuff.
it is because Nintendo said beforehand, hey, the only thing we're going to be bringing is Zelda, so we're not going to be doing a presentation.
Right, but he's talking about the format of how things were presented.
Yeah.
Now, I can understand if you're on a
like
you don't have much time,
Yeah.
and you want to learn about a game.
Yeah.
Here's 5 hours.
But the other
different
guys
game.
were really concise in saying, hey, if you want a kind of overall
Well,
experience, watch this 10-minute trailer.
I can understand.
Nintendo came out and
The
was like,
thing is-
here's our Legend of Zelda trailer.
Nintendo didn't show
Pokemon Sun and
anything
Moon,
else.
Pokemon Sun and
Yes.
Moon for 40 minutes, and then we'll go back to like.
The problem was they didn't have anything else that they were showing, so they were pushing Zelda really hard. But
Which
at the
is-
same token,
There was a lot of it.
it makes me a little worried about what exactly Nintendo plans on doing if they don't have any other games coming out this year
Yeah.
other than Pokemon.
Yeah, Pokemon Go.
Pokemon Go, geocaching for kids.
Sure. I mean, there wasn't too much like just really bad. I didn't care for E3's presentation, but a lot of the games for me fell into the just
You hated
in between.
You hated card games.
I'm gonna honestly,
Oh, why? No, I didn't hate card games, but why is so?
if you've
Magic
played
the
Witcher,
Gathering's been out forever, right? And then Blizzard came out and was like, "Hey, here's Hearthstone," and people saw, "Oh, wow, we can make money off that." Card games. Everybody, what Fable was doing one.
to be fair,
Witcher's doing. Fable
Gwent-
was doing one. Yeah.
Gwent is
Holy
only
crap.
happening because fans wanted it.
Yeah. To be fair.
The developers never planned on doing a standalone Gwent game. All of the fans were just like, this needs to happen because it's amazing.
Who else is
And
getting a card game? There were more.
Elder Scrolls.
Elder Scrolls getting a card game.
It doesn't look. It honestly doesn't look bad.
They were really pushing like, yeah, this is one of the best MMORPGs, and I've read plenty of contrary stuff.
to be perfectly honest, I'd like to go ahead and put The Last Guardian in as bad because I'm just not even interested in it anymore
But
because
it
it's
has
been
a
so
release
long.
date.
It's got a release date that's probably going to be pushed back.
It's
I'm like willing to bet money that October
It's-
25th will leave without.
it's
any
the
Last
longest
Guardian.
running, for lack of a better word, joke about E3.
It was
because
basically
it's been,
vaporware for years.
It's been at every E3, even in just the smallest capacity.
It's been like 10 years.
I would
Yeah,
say
it's
it
been
outdoes
just
Final
about.
Fantasy because Final Fantasy
It
13
and Final Fantasy
versus 13,
they were announced at the same E3.
yeah,
Holy
like a
crap.
long time ago,
Holy
and they
crap.
just continued.
Oh, I do remember
Yeah,
that.
they just continued to be like, "Oh, we're still working on it. Here's a screenshot or a quick trailer." And don't get me wrong, I'm really looking forward to 15. I'm glad. Thank you. This goes back to good. Thank you for not beating me over the head with 15 at this E3, right?
They had a tech demo for Microsoft. That was pretty much it.
Because again, I don't want to. I'm already gonna buy it.
It's gonna be out.
You already have my money,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
don't beat me over the head with it. Show me other things that aren't VR. But
They announced that they're doing a beat 'em up game for it.
yeah,
If you pre-order it, you get a 2D beat 'em up game.
Doesn't Mighty Number 9 come out in like a couple of days?
Yeah.
Unless it gets pushed back magically.
oh my, people would.
Oh, did we say 2016?
People
we meant
would have
2018. Sorry.
a fit. People would have a fit. I mean, anything else really bad, guys? Like,
The big problem with E3 this year was that it was very by the numbers. It wasn't a bad presentation. It just didn't really do anything different.
I'm still skeptical. In
I
VR.
think that E3 next year is going to be huge for Nintendo. I think that the Nintendo plans on having a really big presentation next year.
because they're putting all their.
Because they're going to be like,
They're
hey, here's our new
regrouping.
console.
Damn
And
it.
they've also, like, Miyamoto has said that they're planning on bringing Mario to E3 next year.
Oh,
So-
yeah, I remember.
If they do something new and different with Mario,
What? Nintendo do something new and different?
yeah.
Open world
never.
Mario.
Open world GTA Mario.
You know, hey, let's bring this up. I'm definitely gonna. I haven't followed Pokemon for a while, but I feel like there are some Pokemon fans that kind of felt like they were just abandoned. People have been wanting an open world Pokemon like RPG style game for,
That would be amazing.
Ever.
That would
and
be
they were like,
amazing.
"Hey, I know you really wanted that. We're gonna do it with Zelda though." Like,
To be
right?
fair- to be
Brian, I know
fair-
you really want Mother 3. We're gonna release it in Japan again. Sorry. Right? Nintendo just has a bad habit
I mean,
of like.
Don't get me wrong, I don't really
You want
care.
a new Metroid game?
I've already played Mother
Guess
3.
what? We're making this Defense Force,
Freedom.
right?
Federation Force.
That
Freedom
yeah.
Force.
Th-
You were
that's
gonna
what I'm
say
saying.
Force.
Nintendo has just a bad habit of being like, "Hey, I know this is what you want,
They're
but
like,
this is what we're gonna
yeah.
give you."
Nintendo's like, we know that fans want this, but we're gonna do this instead.
Yeah, and sometimes it works.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But a lot of times,
like Splatoon.
Yeah,
I really want to see another.
they'll wait for
I
it.
played Splatoon.
I've played it.
They'll
I
wait
just
for the
don't
next-
own it.
They'll wait for the next console to do it too.
I'm still convinced that the big thing for NX is going to be VR because that's what everybody else is doing. It would make the most sense.
Yeah.
But I guess the in between. A lot of it fell for the in between for
A
me.
lot of it was in between because it was just kind of there. Like Watch Dogs 2. Meh.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
It was
way more interested in it
It
than
looks
the
better
first
than
one.
the first one, but
Like I like the they kind of threw in more diversity as far as like colors and music and just overall aesthetic feel.
What you
Because
can do?
Watch Dogs 2 Watch Dogs 1 was very like gritty and like trying to be
Also-
serious. I like the art style for DedSec and how they're more
Punkish.
right. Like
why
look more
was
I don't play Elder Scrolls Online. I'm sure there are plenty of people
So-
that care about that.
It did fall between, but as somebody that actually likes MMOs, it is really awesome to hear that there's no level restrictions anymore. It's completely, you do whatever the hell you want. It is a playground for you.
Oh,
That is
Um,
awesome.
yeah. Speaking of that, back to bad Division.
Didn't get anything.
I mean,
I put
I
it-
didn't
I put
care
it in
about the
bad.
Division to begin with.
Well, I bought it. I played it for
2
a week
hours.
and a half and then got bored because it's just the biggest grind fest ever, and they have yet to address it with any of their announcements. Talking about level progression, right, or whatever term.
Level restriction.
Level restriction. That was one of the biggest things that I had a problem with.
You have
Division.
just level restriction.
If I played with someone that was 2 to 3 levels higher than me, it didn't scale accordingly. Like I was either completely outclassed and had to sit there while the other person killed the enemies, or I was the one that had to do all the work because I was helping someone else level up. It was just the biggest grind. The story behind it is good, and I don't have a problem with them doing a movie. They just have
I
yet
do.
to address any of the problems that arose from the grind fest that they have.
Do we really need? That was what I wanted to say. Why the hell was Ubisoft using E3 as their platform for Assassin's Creed the movie?
Or Watch Dogs. The movie.
So
Yeah,
stupid.
Watch Dogs. Okay. Watch Dogs has more of a place for a movie, I think, now because there's the whole
But neither of them.
cyber
E3
terrorism
is not the
kind of
correct
thing, right?
platform for that.
I think you're right. I
because
definitely think you're
nobody
right.
like. I don't care about your movie. Ubisoft, go away.
I mean, on a side note, I am really kind of interested in the movie.
It's gonna suck.
I'm more interested in that movie than I've been in any Assassin's Creed game in the last 4 years, 5
It
years.
looks.
It's gonna suck.
It looks interesting.
I don't know. Fassbender might be able to do something for me.
Just because Fassbender's in it doesn't mean it's gonna be a good film. Like I'll go see it because Fassbender's in it.
Yeah, I mean, we saw X-Men Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Alpacalypse.
But I think again, right platform, not necessarily.
It's not the
but
movies do not have a place at
or
E3.
you know what? It should have been accompanied by some sort of announcement for.
They
for
could have
the
been
game,
like, "Hey, we're doing a video game tie-in for Assassin's Creed because everybody wanted that, right?"
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Watch that tie-in.
Dad of War.
Dishonored 2 fell in between for me because I'm not a big fan of stealth games. Like I'm
Dishonored
not
was
good
really
at them.
good, so if you like Dishonored, then you'll enjoy Dishonored
I'm
too.
sure.
But yeah, I
just-
agree. I didn't
it's-
really care for it one way or the other.
It's kind of bleh to me. But I mean, hey, more power to you if you care about it.
I wish Blizzard had been there to tell me what my new characters for Overwatch would be.
Yeah.
I know it's never going to happen at E3 because that's not really a platform Blizzard uses ever.
What was that one time? That one year.
That one year.
Killer
Long time
Instinct.
ago.
Killer Instinct fell in between too because General Rom's been rumored for like
Yeah,
ever.
there were a lot of rumors that came out before E3 that basically just got confirmed at E3.
Yeah. What else?
Oculus support is coming to Microsoft.
Oh, and it was really stupid for Killer Instinct to be like, yeah, it's the most played fighting game on it, Microsoft. Well, it's the only fighting game you have.
on Xbox
Everyone
One.
packed up their stuff and we're like, we're going to Sony.
Which is frustrating because I really wanted to play the new Guilty Gear.
Yeah, and again, right? Exclusives, I get it. You want to belong to the Sony,
think
the
that
Sony club. But
Fighting
all it
games
does is
shouldn't have exclusivity.
all it does is hurt your fan base. Like, Street Fighter V is sold well below expectations. It's still selling good, but it's sold
It
well
didn't
below
sell nearly as
expectations
well as Street Fighter 4.
because It's only on
You're
it's
limiting
only on
your
Sony.
fan base.
It's only on PlayStation
Like,
4.
Making fighting games
Console
exclusive is not a good move because it
I see what you did there.
fractures the fan base because you're alienating people that don't necessarily want that specific console.
But they still want your
But they
game.
still wanna play your
Yeah,
game.
they still support your game.
Because, like, I really want the new Guilty Gear. I don't want to buy it on PlayStation 4.
Really want the new Tekken. I forgot to mention that.
The new Tekken's coming out on Xbox One.
I was gonna put that.
Which
as
means it'll be Play Anywhere.
I was gonna put that as in between. I mean,
I'm a Tekken fan, so
Really?
I'm excited.
fair enough for it.
I'm
You
glad
download
that
your
they've
Tekken
just
Tag
kind
Team.
of given up on
Tekken versus Street
Tekken
Fighter.
Cross Street Fighter.
That's
and
fine.
they're just like, we're just going to throw some Street Fighter characters in
Yeah,
Tekken.
I definitely think Akuma's not gonna be the only one
There might be one or two.
in there.
Evil Ryu.
Minecraft fell in between for me just because I know
Minecraft
it's-
VR, yay!
I was a
No,
little
don't
sad
care.
that they didn't show anything else about HoloLens this year.
Yeah.
Not
Is-
because I particularly wanted it, just because I thought that the idea of them doing augmented reality was
Yeah,
interesting.
I think they'll double down on it in the coming months. Is Realms just an add-on or is it its own thing?
It's an add-on.
It's an
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, I don't really do the Minecraft thing. I know it's really popular amongst the younger generation and even some older people, but it never really brought me along as far
Especially
as
VR. Why would you bring that to VR?
What about State of Decay 2? I'm pretty excited about that.
Don't care.
Because it's got co-op in it. Because that was the one thing that I wanted State of Decay to
I
have that
still
it didn't
call you a
have.
harlot.
why.
I swear to God. Because he's like, I hate State of Decay. Have multiplayer.
Yeah.
Oh, now it has multiplayer. Now I love the game. It's just like, come on.
That was the
Come on.
that was the problem I had with it. I told you from the start that the problem I had with State of Decay was the lack of
Yeah,
multiplayer.
I didn't
You
buy
can't hate something because it lacks one feature
Yeah, you
that
can.
you
I can if it's
particularly
what I
want.
think is
Yeah,
a
you
key
can.
feature to the
You
game.
can say like, okay, well, this is we're getting into semantics, but
I
Screw
think
you.
that's a fair argument.
Screw you.
If it's a
we'll
If
talk about
it's
this later.
fine.
Sea of Thieves falls in between.
Sea of Thieves,
No, I'm excited about that.
I think it'll be a good
I think
like-
it looks interesting.
like mess around with your friends kind of game.
Yeah.
Like if,
It does look like it has a little bit more of the Rare humor in it than Rare has had recently.
Everybody loved Black Flag, right?
Yes.
Well, okay. We love the pirating in Black Flag. This is just
CZ.
That's definitely what I thought of. I was like, if you took Assassin's Creed out of Black Flag and just gave me a pirate game, I'd be more okay with that.
Yeah,
And-
I
and the
really,
fact-
I didn't give a shit at all about any of the assassin stuff in Black Flag. I was just like, just let me pilot my ship
Yeah,
and kill some whales.
this is something that hasn't been touched in a game in quite a long time, and now we're
Well,
bringing it back.
it's becoming more popular in the PC scene, so I imagined it would leak over into the console, right?
Pirates?
Well, not pirates, but the co-op ship management.
They have
kind of
that
thing, like
flying Zeppelin
Skies
game.
Wings of Icarus,
Yeah.
or Skies of Icarus.
Right, but I'm talking more specifically about a pirate theme.
Well, yes, but I mean the mechanics.
Everyone
are
loves
leaking
pirates.
over, but pirates is a good, I think, place to start off with it. Yeah,
I'm
definitely think
excited
I'm
for
excited.
Ukulele.
so. I mean,
They
they showed like
They
a screen
showed
of
snippets of it.
it. You mean Banjo?
It comes out
Banjo
next
Kazooie?
year. I'm excited. I have no problems with the new Banjo Kazooie,
That's fine.
as long as it's not nuts and bolts.
Halo Wars 2?
Eh.
I really want.
My problem has always been that console RTSs are never as good as they wanted them to be.
Fair enough. I mean, Halo Wars wasn't necessarily anything to write home about, but I enjoyed the aesthetic of it. It was,
It's mainly just that
Surprising.
playing an RTS with a controller isn't as fluid as playing it with mouse and
Well,
keyboard.
that's why I want my HoloLens. Halo
Well, now that
Wars.
they're
giving
bringing
you-
mouse and keyboard to Xbox One,
Yeah. Now you can
So-
I'll
to
stick
it.
to my StarCraft.
That's fine. There's a new Just Dance coming out, guys.
I don't care.
It's fun.
I thought that was probably the closest to a cringy moment that they had in the
I
entire
enjoyed
Ubisoft
it.
conference.
At first it was weird,
It's like,
but I enjoyed
okay,
how
guys,
stupid
you're ruining
it
a
is.
perfectly good Queen song.
Queens. It's always people are always going to use it.
It's the same song they used for the Suicide Squad
Trials
trailer.
Blood Dragon. I mean, if you like Trials.
Trials Blood Dragon looks good. Like, I don't really care for Trials, but I like Blood Dragon.
Yeah,
It's there.
I think I'll probably get that one
I never
personally.
played it.
Blood
You
Dragon
can get
was
it
fun.
now.
Yeah, it's available now.
Oh,
Just like the Resident Evil 7 demo if you have PlayStation Plus.
Yeah.
yeah,
Assholes.
whatever.
I'm not gonna pay for PlayStation Plus just to play a demo.
You're gonna hate it.
No. I'm gonna hate that I can't play it.
You're gonna hate it because it doesn't have multiplayer.
I don't
it's not the
expect
Star
multiplayer
Wars,
in my Resident
It's not
Evil.
the Empire Strike whatever.
God damn it, Sam. I
Um,
feel like you're horribly generalizing everything.
I am right now. I'm mocking you is what I'm doing.
The State of Decay thing will never be let go.
State of Decay looks more interesting than Days Gone. Days Gone just looks like Sons of Anarchy with zombies.
Days Gone looks like Sons of Anarchy with
Horde.
World War Z, the
No.
movie.
Left 4 Dead.
No.
No.
It reminded me of
because
World
it
War
had
Z
like
because
the
it had
same
the-
like flowing.
The runny,
Right,
flowy kind
right.
of zombies.
But it's basically that's what Left 4 Dead had, just not necessarily like a
This
wave.
is the story of Francis. Now I understand.
I don't know. It just
If they just made the main character Francis, I'd buy it.
again. World War Z, the movie.
Speaking
Go
of
read the
which,
book. But it definitely felt like that movie.
They didn't make my Left 4 Dead
They
announcement.
did not make your Left 4 Dead announcement.
I was sad.
I was happy about my Crash Bandicoot. I called that.
That was like the worst reveal too,
What?
as far as the way they did it.
For
Them just walking out being like Crash Bandicoot's coming out.
no, they
Hooray.
had,
Fine,
they had the
if
shadow
they're-
going.
Yeah, I know, but they could have at least shown some gameplay or something.
If they're rebuilding it though,
It's the same. What do you mean show
okay,
gameplay? It's
hold
Crash
up.
Bandicoot.
Hold up, I would much rather have them just say, "Hey, we're gonna do this," instead of giving me like this 5-minute trailer of like, "Oh, here's all our concept art."
Yeah.
Fuck that.
EA is really bad about that. I'm sorry.
I'm really interested in the Spider-Man game
I am too.
It's
I think it'll be great.
because
You want to talk about a game that like bothers you about having the same setting all the time? Fucking Spider-Man and like New York. I know it's where he is.
It's where he lives, Sam.
I get that.
Spider-Man doesn't work in,
But
you
it
you
know,
can't
just-
just put
the
Spider-Man
flats.
in Rome.
I know,
Yeah.
but it's just
like Spider-Man wouldn't work here
everything
where we
that
live.
every other
Actually,
game.
Scarlet Spider is set in Houston, so
Every
It's
other,
not where we live.
it's close enough.
Whatever.
every other game that I've seen looks exactly the same to me, and it just is not very interesting. So unless they're doing something completely different, I don't care.
I mean,
Like Shattered
He has
Universe. I
They're
wanna play
doing
Shattered
something.
He has a
They're
set-
doing something completely different, in that this one will be good.
he has a set of powers. It's not like you can just be like, oh, now Spider-Man has rocket boots or
I'm
something.
not going that
Right.
outlandish.
But he
Come
has
on.
rocket boots now.
He
I
had
mean,
an
it's
Iron
Iron
Man
Spider.
suit.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe they'll have an Iron Spider suit.
I'm
You
just
don't know.
saying, like with Insomniac working on it,
Tiny
just
New
based
York.
on the games that Insomniac has done previously, I think it'll be a solid game. That's why I'm excited about it.
Solid game.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be as good as
Platinum does solid games.
yes.
No, Kojima does solid games, right?
God damn it.
Right?
I really want to
And
see
Liquid?
more of Death Stranding. Like
I
really
mean,
bad.
Well, see, and we called that, Sam. You were like, nah, it's too early to show something from Kojima's
yeah,
new
you're
game.
right,
And we're
you're
like,
right.
nah, they can do a stupid, like, 30-second trailer.
Give
teaser.
me a trailer. Don't show me fucking concept art.
Yeah.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean that was a concept trailer.
No, it's a cinematic
It was
trailer.
a concept.
Gives me.
It's not. They
it's a
haven't even
teaser.
decided on an engine for the game
That's
yet.
fine. It's cinematic.
Why-
It gets me interested.
Why are engines now snow-related? Like, I know Frostbite's been a thing forever, but they're, like, all the engines are, like, cold-related.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Snowball.
Snowdrop or something
yeah,
like
it was
that?
Snowdrop. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Snowdrop?
Yeah, one of the engines
Ubisoft.
is-
Oh, right.
Yeah. Like, why is that the thing? Whatever.
I don't know. Unreal Engine
EA's.
4. Like everything's moving to Unreal.
And
Actually, they didn't show anything at the conference, but they were showing a lot of gameplay footage for Kingdom Hearts 2.8 or whatever the hell it is.
gotcha.
But they're basically redoing the entire game in the new Unreal Engine, and
Good.
it flows really well.
Good.
So I'm probably gonna
So-
end up picking that up.
So, we're gonna rank these from.
You were excited about Kingdom Hearts. You were like, whatever.
I
I'm
just
still-
want. Look, I want a complete collection on the PS4. Which
I don't really
six
need
months
one.
ago, they were like, we have zero interest in doing that, and I was like, that's bull.
That's
Because
dumb.
it's printing money.
That's
If you
dumb.
come out with a collection on PS4, people are like, oh,
John,
I
you
already
still
have it
haven't
on
played Kingdom
PS3.
Hearts 2.
I already have it on PS3. I'm gonna buy it for PS4 just because, right? Look, just give me all the games at once so I can sit down and just go through all of them. Because it's been 10 years,
I don't
right?
trust you to sit down and go through them.
It's been 10 years, right?
You still haven't
Right.
finished them.
Right? 10 years?
Yeah,
Because there's too many to finish.
that's
On
why you finish them
all-
as they come out.
What were there?
Problem
There was
solved.
mobile games. There's a DS game.
There's like
PS2.
2, 3 of those.
Yeah,
Game
there
Boy
were
Advance.
PSP. Like,
There were
why-
2 Game Boy Advance games.
Oh, God.
why do
I forgot about that.
why do I have to go across all these different platforms to play all the games? Just give me the games.
Because they don't translate that well to control or console.
Sure, they would.
Not all of them.
That's
like-
why they gave me cinematics for the ones that probably wouldn't, or the ones I didn't care as much about.
I'm over Kingdom Hearts. I just want Kingdom Hearts 3 to come out so they can finish the series.
You built a bridge. You
Yep.
got over it.
I just want Marvel and Star Wars in
Kingdom Hearts 3. Otherwise, I'm done with it.
Yeah, oh man, that would. I really
Can't you
want
see
that.
Sora teaming up with Captain America? Because I can.
Goofy would get a Captain America shield.
I don't want to see Goofy in a Spider-Man.
No, he'd get a Captain America shield because he has a shield.
I know, but I'm just
Donald would
saying,
get-
I don't want to see Goofy.
Donald
in
would get Thor's hammer, and Sora would get like.
No, keep them apart. Keep them
No,
apart.
no.
Especially
The
Star
lightsaber
Wars.
Keyblade.
No.
Yes.
Fuck that.
Like,
No.
Yes.
That
That'd be
makes
great.
no sense.
Have
It
Kylo
makes
Ren as the
total
villain.
Just
sense.
like a lightsaber makes no sense.
It makes perfect sense.
It's a saber made of light.
Yeah.
It's in the name.
Okay, sure.
But
You know what the original lightsaber was? The Sun Sword.
Yeah.
You have no idea what that is. Do you?
Nope.
It had the battery pack on it, right?
The original
It's from
lightsaber
a,
had
it's from a
battery back.
cartoon.
Oh, okay.
Old 70s cartoon.
Silverhawks?
Whatever.
No.
So are we gonna rank these from worst to best? Everyone does a winner at E3, right?
So what I asked you. I don't remember what y'all said.
But the
Okay.
real
So I
winner
asked
is
you.
the consumer.
That's a lie. That's a bold-faced lie.
Oh, that is true.
The real,
Getting
like-
If the
content.
winner was the consumer, then we wouldn't have this division between Sony and everybody else right now.
But we're getting
Sony
content.
refuses.
If they just want to show us.
For the right.
Sony's refusing to do anything other than exclusivity because they know that that's the only thing they have left to hold on to.
Don't get me wrong. They're winning in terms of sales. They're making the most money. And I understand that from a business perspective, right? Everything that happens in this industry or any industry is motivated by money. I get that. But for so long, and this goes back to E3s for the last like 4 years, and yes, do I still hold on to that grudge? Sure. But for so many years, the Sony fans have been, man, look at Sony. They care about us. They care about us more than any other,
They don't.
any other console maker. They care about us. They care about the games, and they want us to be happy. Over the last year and a half, I feel like that transition has gone from Sony to not just Microsoft, but Microsoft, even Nintendo, even PC, right? PC is making this push to say, hey, we know you don't want to build this $900 behemoth, desktop tower. Here's a Steam machine. No, I mean for the general consumer, right? Here's a Steam machine. Here's something you're more accustomed
But
to.
the Steam machines are still super expensive.
No, I get it. I'm just saying
Or
they're
the-
willing. They're willing to say we're gonna work and meet you halfway, right? You're not used to this tower. Here's a small DVD-sized thing that you can play.
Yeah.
Sony over the last year and a half has refused to play ball with anybody, right? And
It's because they don't have to.
I know
Like,
they don't
that's
have
the
to,
problem.
But that's what I'm saying. This whole mentality that Sony has the best interest of the gamer in mind, I think has been dissipated, especially after
I
they
think
had yet
honestly,
to comment on
what
crossplay.
Sony's going to end up doing is they're going to end up shooting themselves in the foot because they don't want to give away their exclusives to anybody else. Because Nintendo, or not Nintendo, but Microsoft is moving more towards a PC multi-platform.
Yeah.
And
And Sony, and that's the thing, Sony keeps going, well, we did it first with Final Fantasy XI. Okay, fine. You did it there first. Xbox 360 could do online crossplay as well, so I don't see the big picture, but whatever. It just frustrates me that, again, when it comes to brands, right? Apple, Android, Sony, Microsoft, whatever.
my
They
big
only care about the money, so your devoted loyalty, even when they're kind of like, they don't want to appease you, is frustrating to me.
My big question about this whole Play Anywhere thing at this point is, are they going to make PC players pay a subscription in order to use Xbox Live features?
That's a question I never thought about.
If they are, then I'm a little bit less excited about it, but I'm still excited at the crossplay. But it also means that they're probably going to have a hard time.
They're
turning
either going to go
PC
one way or the other,
audiences.
right? They're either going to go PC players are going to have to pay for Xbox Live, or they're going to get rid of Xbox Live altogether.
Or just get rid of the paid subscription for
Yeah.
Xbox Live.
Well, one of the things that they mentioned, like when they did the Halo, like somebody interviewed one of the developers for Halo Wars.
Uh-huh.
They said even though there is the Play Anywhere in it, there's no cross play in it.
Gotcha.
So not all of these games sound like they're going to have that cross play.
It's
Right.
just that if you want to play it on your PC, you can.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's fine.
But that's what I'm wondering is if they're going to implement the crossplay, are people that play on PC going to have to get a subscription to Xbox Live to play with people on Xbox Live?
like Rocket League, right? If I'm going to play against an Xbox One player on Rocket League, well, no.
No, I'm
the
talking
question's
like
answered
more
itself.
like something with Scalebound.
Yeah.
Like if you bought Scalebound on Xbox One and you're playing it on Xbox Live, and you have the ability to play it on your PC through Xbox, do you have to have a subscription to Xbox Live to play with an Xbox Live player on Xbox One.
Who knows? I mean, the ball is.
They were very cryptic. They
It's-
kind of avoided that question.
It's set up to where they can appease their fan base by doing what's right. But again,
It's-
we just talked about
It just
motivation
kind of
and money.
worries me because it's the same thing that Sony did whenever they announced all these new features for PlayStation 4. And then everyone was like, "Oh, you get to do all this for free." No, you don't. You have to pay for PlayStation Plus. Like, you are super limited on what you can do with PlayStation if you don't have PlayStation Plus.
How about that Peace Now?
I can't even.
How about that PlayStation Music?
PlayStation Now is the dumbest thing ever, and I think that it's stupid that people will actually pay money to play games that are already available on the market. And you don't even own the game; you're just
You're
renting it.
renting it, yeah. Yeah, they. Yeah,
Also,
they let
no
that out.
Vita at E3 again.
Yeah,
Well, they already phased that out last year,
It's still alive. I mean, the
It's-
game they
haven't
still
killed it yet.
produce the system.
but they shut down a whole crap ton of shit for it.
They just need to just come out and say, "Hey, we're done with the Vita. It was a failure."
Buy it now if you want your JRPGs, and that's it.
Pretty much.
We'll give it to you for $50.
Just take it, please.
Yeah,
Promote
if you'll
it.
give me if you'll give me a Vita, I'll take one.
Yeah, sure. Well, I guess let's start from the bottom. We all agree that EA had the worst presentation. And again, some of that is biased, right? For anyone who's really into sports games,
It's not that it's a sports game. They just didn't have anything but concepts.
this is the second year in a row that they come with
Yes,
next to nothing
and
outside
that's
of
my
their
only
sports
complaint.
games. Like, they didn't have enough of Titanfall 2, in my opinion. They didn't have enough. They showed that Fee, that indie style game, but even that was just bare bones. Battlefield was really bare bones. Again, they showed gameplay after the fact, but if this is your presentation, you
Sure,
you
more of
you,
a
you
concept.
bring what you have,
Yeah.
not just a cinematic trailer. But yeah, I would say we all agree that EA goes last.
I'd have to say Nintendo next, just with the lack of content.
But is that really a presentation?
Yeah, Treehouse.
They were there.
I guess.
Again, it's nothing to say that the games look bad, right?
No, it's just
It's just the over again. If you're just watching E3, if this is where you get your source of gaming information, I personally didn't like the free flow stuff. Again, it was just
lack of information
Yeah.
too.
I would definitely put them next. Again, not knocking the games, just the
I'd put them
presentation
next because
itself.
they didn't give me my Mother 3 announcement. It'll happen.
Keep
one
You
it
day.
hate
opening.
Zelda because they didn't give you Mother 3, right?
I hate Zelda because it's Zelda, and it should be called Link.
It should be Mother 3,
It should
Breath
be
of the
the
Wild.
Legend of Link.
Okay, so who's next?
Todd
We have
Watts.
Bethesda, Microsoft, Ubisoft, or Sony.
I'm gonna say Bethesda for me.
Bethesda?
Probably.
Yeah.
They had solid stuff. It just wasn't enough.
A lot
Yeah.
of it was also stuff that's already out.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Talking
Well,
about
they really only
add-ons for
Fallout,
Fallout.
Fallout
yeah.
Shelter.
Quake and Fallout. So Fallout's already out, Doom's already out, all Elder Scrolls Online's already out. So really the only new things they brought were Quake and Dishonored 2, which we heard about Dishonored 2 last year.
It's
So
a card game.
that's not a real game.
What about Battleborn?
What?
I don't know.
But what? No, shut up.
Go back
Okay.
to sleep, Q.
Yeah. All right. So the top three then would either be Microsoft, Ubisoft, or Sony. Now,
I'd
Ubisoft
say
at the
top three
bottom.
would be from third to first would be Ubisoft, Sony, Microsoft.
Yeah.
I'm semi tempted to put Ubisoft above Sony's.
Because I appreciated the games that Sony brought, but they didn't really have a whole lot of a presentation. It was really just like a extended trailer of all
Well-
of the stuff they have coming out.
Like the VR stuff with Sony kind of definitely put a damper in my rating for them. They were like, we have VR. Here's how much it's going to cost. Here's 3 really short things we're going to show you about it. Great.
They kind of glanced over that price point too.
Yeah, they were
They
like,
didn't really say anything about it. They were just like, here it is, here's the price, let's go.
but I mean, Ubisoft had Wildlands. They had
It's cheaper.
Steep.
Like, as far as for VR, that is a cheaper buy-in, but I think it's also a cheaper product than
Yeah.
Oculus or Vive.
you know
They
what?
wanted to get it out fast.
Yeah, I'd have to put the movie stuff puts Ubisoft below Sony for that. I mean, I really loved their South Park presentation. It was great, but that doesn't do enough for me to say it
It's
goes
above
above
theirs.
that. But I definitely look, and it was weird getting ready for this podcast because on social media, all over the place, it's just Sony. People out of the gates, right? They're like, "Oh man, this orchestra opening, Sony wins hands down. I'm like, you haven't even
Just
seen
based on
the
the art.
rest of the presentation. You've not
Also,
expanded on anything
I think
they've
that
shown.
Phil Spencer is a really solid host
Yeah.
for the conference.
Yeah,
I think he does a great job.
he
with
wasn't as good as Aisha, but that's
Well,
fine.
no, but I mean, in comparison to everyone else
Yeah.
they have doing it for Sony or Microsoft, I think that he has a
Or EA.
relatively good stage presence.
But yeah, I mean, Sony
They
still
still
wasn't
haven't
bad.
given me my Battletoads announcement.
I mean, just play Killer Instinct. You have your Battletoads.
I need to download that. I'm forgetting that.
I don't know. Again, it goes back to because I didn't see anybody really going over the top with Microsoft's presentation. Like everybody that liked it was like, okay, I enjoyed it, but it wasn't.
It's because everybody. Okay, so the
Well,
thing.
Microsoft didn't have any like huge announcements either.
No, it
Most of their
did.
quality of life.
No, it was the everybody's talking about the hardware
Yeah.
for Microsoft. Nobody's talking about the games, and I think that's why everybody's so excited about Sony is because they had a lot more games than like Microsoft had that were more interesting to the general public.
Yeah.
The Xbox One S. I am excited at the Xbox One S coming out just because of the price point, because that's a really cheap price point for a 2 terabyte hard drive.
Wait, God of War.
What about
This
that
year or
for
next year?
Next year.
Next year. Sony didn't have a single game announced that was coming out this year other than
Well-
Final Fantasy.
Days Gone, 2016.
Did they announce a release date for that?
Yeah, 2016, October.
Uh,
I made a point to get the and the Skylanders thing is 2016.
Because everyone cares about that.
Yeah.
But no, I just
I don't even think Death Stranding will be out next year.
no, I don't think. I think
That,
it'll push back.
it's
they
gonna
probably
be-
won't even have anything to show next year.
No,
That's why I was like, they're not going to show anything this year.
yeah, I don't understand the mentality of
Kojima's going to come out and be like, surprise, it's actually PT.
No, I just don't understand the mentality behind. Again, is there really a winner? Probably not. But people were just like, don't get me wrong.
I would be
E3
so
last
happy
year,
if
E3
that
last year, I definitely think Sony had the way better like presentation overall.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't leagues ahead, but it was definitely better. I just don't see the
Streets Ahead.
yeah sure. I just don't see the reasoning behind it. They didn't do anything great, right?
They didn't really do anything that impressive. They showed some games.
Yeah.
They didn't, like, Microsoft showed some games.
Yeah. I mean, overall, none of them were particularly great, but I loved the Recore announcement, Scalebound.
I'm excited for Recore just because of the people that are working on it.
Yeah.
I think it'll be fun.
And again, the quality of life, right? Again, how big of it? This is just me not letting things go. How big of an announcement was it when Sony came out and was like, "Hey, we have cross-game chat," and I was like, "Great! It took you a year and a half to get it."
And they're like,
And-
look at this party chat that we came out with that's new and original and no one's ever done it before.
Yeah, like it was a big
I don't know if they
announcement.
said that.
It was a big announcement because it was a pain in the ass to have to deal with. You couldn't talk to people that were playing a different game. Microsoft had it forever, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
And they were like, well, the infrastructure for PlayStation Network on PS3 just doesn't support it. Well, you update my system often enough, you should be able to fix that.
And it's not to say this isn't a general, thing about Sony or Microsoft fans. I feel like Microsoft fans have gotten a lot less obnoxious over the last 2-3 years.
It's because they've all moved over to Sony.
It might be. Hey, is that what it is, right? All the obnoxious Microsoft fans are now.
Because
Oh,
Sony
they now
announced
own
their
Sony?
or their partnership with Activision for
Call of Duty.
Call of Duty, so everyone was like, well, we gotta go over to Sony because that's
Yeah.
where Call of Duty is
'Cause-
now.
So
And-
it's all the dude bros, is what you're saying.
And
Yep.
maybe, and again, there's. I'm not knocking Sony. I'm gonna.
You're the
buy
one
a
that decided to
PS4.
buy a PlayStation 4 instead of an Xbox One, Sam.
I don't play online with other people. I just buy.
I'm gonna buy a PS4. I'm gonna definitely get games for it, and it has a really good following. It's just, man, it was obnoxious reading all of the Sony stuff this week about E3. I was just like,
What are
get
you doing?
over it.
There's
did
been
you do?
exactly
Right.
one game on PS4 that I wanted to play, and that was Bloodborne, and that's just because it's not available on any other console.
Bloodborne's already out.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Oh.
that's the only game that I've been wanting to play on PS4. Every other game that I've been wanting to play is multi-platform. But I guess I'll probably play Dad of War when it comes out.
Yeah, I mean, the last of the gods of war, whatever. I don't know. It's whatever.
Dad of War. They should just change the name to Dad of War. I think it'd be better. It'll
So I guess
It'll be dope.
it'll appeal to the Octodad scene.
yes,
Dad of War.
exactly. I mean,
Octodad of War.
That's really it. I mean, again, there's a lot of stuff that happened after the conference that you can find with gameplay for this or that game, or more details about one or the other. But all in all, this is kind of everything that entailed the conference as a whole.
Yep.
So,
It's true.
anything else? Any parting comments? Any last?
Mother 3 2017.
Nope.
No.
Yep.
It'll never happen. You're not getting it.
I'm getting it.
No.
It's gonna happen one of these
You're
days.
gonna have to do it yourself.
I've already played it. That's not the point. I want to give Nintendo my money.
And on that note, we're gonna close it out.
Fine.
So we'll catch you guys in the next one. Hopefully this got you interested in one or more games. But yeah.
Where's the stop button?